understood their language, but when there was a handwriting on the wall in their language, they didn't understand.
That's right.
And somebody, you can go and check that out.
Yes, Lord.
He says, my tongue is not just of men, but of angels. But he says, if not that I have charity, and when I kept looking that up, because charity means that you have a compassion of forgiving, of doing something, or helping somebody. But you can look, it says charity is, in some places, it says Old English words for love.
That's right.
He said, but if I have all that eloquent speaking, and when you leave, don't know what I said, he said, it profit nothing. Now I'm going to tell you like it is. When I was younger, I was using some words. How many of y'all, somebody else might want to confess here, some of the words I was using, I ain't know what it means. But I heard somebody say it and it sounded pretty good. A lot of folks speak behind somebody else. But what I found out, if you don't check out what they said, oh, come on here, somebody.
Oh, yeah.
So he says it's important for us to show much love. So the Apostle Paul says in verses 2 and so on, he says, I might even understand mysteries and knowledge. And he says, I might even have faith, you might have faith that you can take a mountain and move it. He said, that's good. But sometimes we get ourselves lifted up in some pride after we do some things, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
It ain't what I did. I mean, it ain't what he did, it's what I did, right?
Yeah.
And some folk that even had the audacity, I'm gonna hurry up. Some folk that had the audacity that after they have done something, they turn around and ask somebody, how did I do? I think what you need to do is go back and ask God whether or not he's pleased with you.
That's the one.
Because no matter what somebody else says, we all have to answer to God.
Yes.
So the Apostle Paul says, don't let us be easily provoked or lifted up in pride or find ourselves not or disliking each other. But he says, charity never fails. And somebody last week was talking about, thank you, sister. She was talking about whether or not I can do something for somebody and not allow my left hand to know what my right hand did.
Yes.
Now, I'm left-handed, so if I have to reach in my back pocket and get my wallet and put it in my right hand and give it, is my left hand gonna know what my right hand did?
Yes.
I'm left-handed. Everybody here not left-handed. Some of y'all might can get by. But he says to us, do not let your left hand know what your right. In other words, what he's saying is, even though you had to get help from your left hand to do, for your right hand to do it, don't allow what you have done good come back as evil. You might say, Pastor, you got to explain that. In other words, you did a good deed, but you had to tell everybody. It wasn't bad that you did it, but you made the person feel so bad before they got home, they got 150 phone calls to say, y'all know what Lula did for?
Yes, she did.
Lula, thank you. The potatoes was good. Did I have to go and tell everybody? Let me tell you something. Because you do something for somebody, or you did a charitable deed for somebody, the Apostle Paul says that don't allow your good to be evil spoken of. Now I got to tell y'all this morning. I didn't know and I didn't understand how this was going to work out, but I've been trying to do some good deeds and my good been turning out bad. Let me tell you what the prophet said. The prophet says there was a pot of soup, and the soup was meant to eat, and the soup was good. So one of the young prophets went to the old prophet and said, there's something in the pot. Come on here, somebody. Now that pot was meant to be some good soup, wasn't it? And I believe because there was a lot of them for all of the younger prophets, there was a lot of soup in the pot, right?
All right.
But when, most cooks take a taste of it, the cook says, Elijah is dead in that pot. Somebody said, well, ain't no sense in the rest of us getting ourselves.
All of a sudden,
You probably it was smelling, the aroma was there, but when somebody said, that's death in the pot, I believe everybody went from hungry to full. So when we do something, we should not lift up ourselves in pride. But look what he said. Charitableness, doing charitable deeds, you have to do some things to show charitable acts.
Well,
because it can easily go the wrong way.
yes.
First of all, let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 2. First of all, something has to be inside of us to do some things for somebody else. I told y'all I didn't know this was coming. I should have saw it. Because God has a lesson for us. And he don't want us to leave without learning the lesson. 2 Corinthians 2 verses 1 and some of the followers, just stay with me and I guarantee you I'll try not to burden you. It says, but I determined with myself that I would not come again to you in heaviness. For if I make you sorry, who is he then that maketh me glad, but the same which is made sorry by me? And I wrote this same unto you, lest when I came, I should have sorrow from them of whom I ought to rejoice, having confidence in you all, that my joy is in the joy of you all. For out of much affliction and anguish of heart I wrote unto you with many tears, not that ye should be grieved, but that ye might know the love which I have more abundantly unto you. But if any have caused grief, he had not grieved me, but in part, that I may not be overcharged you all. Sufficient to such a man as this punishment which was inflicted of many, so that contrariwise ought rather to forgive him and comfort him, lest perhaps such a one should be swallowed up with overmuch sorrow. Wherefore I beseech you that you would confirm your love toward him. For to this end also did I write, that I might know the proof of you, whether ye be obedient in all things. To whom ye forgive anything, I forgive also. For if I forgave anything, to whom I forgive it, for your sakes, it in the person of Christ. The first thing Apostle Paul said, the first thing and what we need to start at, and we think charitableness or giving a love starts with giving, right? What we give. The Apostle Paul said, can you start and not thinking about something tangible, but think about something heartfelt and spiritual, such as forgiving a person of their deed.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes we give folks stuff to cover up
That's right.
what really is going on.
Right.
But if there's no forgiveness there, you can give all the flowers you want. You can bring all the Valentine candy you want. Excuse me, y'all. You can bring all the chocolate, the almonds, the walnuts, the pecan. You can bring all you want. But if the heart is not, I see you.
All right.
The Apostle Paul says, if it ain't deep inside of the heart, is it real charity? Is it real love? And how many of y'all know folks still refuse to forgive somebody for what they have done? Let me help me. I want to forgive them even if they don't want me to forgive them.
That's right. Yeah.
Let me tell you why. Every day I wake up or every day I lay down, you know what's going to be on my mind? What they did. And you know I'm going to end up taking more pills to try to suppress that feeling. But if I forgive them, I can walk away with my head held up and see what's coming at me. But if I don't forgive them, I got my head down and I don't know what I'm going to meet. Because my heart is not clear before God. Now look, I apologize for anybody that say, well, no, I'm pointing at you. No, I'm not. This message was already prepared before you thought about that.
All right.
And I didn't do the preparing, y'all. I'm just doing the service. God wants us to have a forgiving heart.
Yes.
He wants us to be able to walk away and not have the guilt or the sin held to our charge. Stay with me.
All right.
Philippians chapter 4. Somebody said, this ain't got nothing to do with no tongues, Pastor. Well, if you got one and you use it in the right manner, it got a whole lot to do with it. Because it's hard to speak to somebody. It's hard for somebody to speak you when there's aught between the two.
Well.
I got some folks in here. Y'all ever lived in the house with somebody, and when you saw them, y'all didn't speak?
Yeah.
The two of y'all were walking. Sister Timber, I like this part. When the hallway is this small, and
You gotta keep by.
they coming that way, and you going this way, and to make sure,
You don't touch.
woo,
Don't touch.
you become a picture on the wall. A part of the. I'm not gonna mess with nobody this morning. But it's hard, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And if you would have knew that they was coming down the hall at the same time, you would have stayed where you was at. All right. Philippians chapter 4. Verse 1, 2, and 3 says, therefore, my brethren, dearly beloved, and long for my joy, and crown to stand fast in the Lord, my dearly beloved, I beseech your daughters, and beseech Psyche, that they be, what?
Of the same mind.
So y'all know something going on in here.
Somebody's trying to get
Ooh. I pray that they be of the same mind. How?
In the Lord.
In the Lord. Get out of their flesh, get out of their self, and start being able to come back and worship. And if we had two services here, if we had an 8 o'clock and a 10 o'clock service, some folk wouldn't come to 8 o'clock.
All right.
Some folks wouldn't come at 10 o'clock because they say, well, if I know they're going to be there at 8 o'clock, I'm going to come at 10 o'clock church.
That's right.
If I know they're going to be at 10 o'clock, I'm going to 8 o'clock church, right?
That's right.
Well, I'm glad we just have one service in here. That way everybody can come to church.
Yeah.
And you know what else I like? Nobody knows who's coming to church when they come.
Amen.
Somebody said, this is a long way from what we used to talk about, speaking in tongues. He said, wait a minute. Speaking in tongues is all right. But if you are in church speaking in tongues, these two here, they got some other things going on. Verse 3 says, I entreat thee also, true yoke fellows, help those women which labor with me in the gospel, with Clement also, and with other fellow laborers whose names are written in the book of what?
Right.
Yeah, now look, it's bad when we got out, both of us have our name written in the book of life, and yet we got stuff going on between the two of us. Beloved, don't get your name scratched out the book.
I know.
Let me tell you something. If your name is in the book, you ought to act just like him. And our relationship with one another depends upon our relationship with the God that we say we serve.
My Lord. My Lord.
Okay. Let's go to Romans 14. And you know what I like? I like when the scriptures speak to us, because somebody said, well, he just went there picking on me. No. How many of y'all know the word of God cuts all of us?
Oh, yeah.
And when the blade comes out, it cuts between the marrow and the bone. I don't care how far you sitting from me or how close you getting to me. How many of y'all know the blade know where to cut at?
Yeah. Yes.
I know. Look what somebody said. I didn't come here to hear that, Pastor. I didn't come here for you to tell me that I'm messing up. Well, if you knew you were messing up, that's good. And if God knows you're messing up, that's better. So he want to know this morning what you're doing about the mess up.
All right. What we doing? All right.
I got it on hold, Pastor. Romans 14. Him that is weak in the faith, receive ye, but not to doubtful disputation. For one, what happened? What they doing? Ain't that something? Be like me. One of us sitting on the front seat and the other one sitting on the back seat. Verse 2 said, for one believeth that he may eat all things, another who is weak eateth herbs. Let not him that eateth despise him that eateth not, and let not him which eateth not judge him that eateth. For God hath received him. Who art thou that judgest another man's servant? To his own master he standeth or falleth. Yea, he shall hold up, for God is able to make him stand. For one man esteemeth one day above another, another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. He that regardeth the day regardeth it unto the Lord, and he that regardeth not the day to the Lord, he doeth not regard it. He that eateth to the Lord, for he giveth God thanks, and he that eateth not to the Lord, he eateth not, and giveth God thanks. And no man died to himself. For whether we live unto the Lord, and whether we die unto the Lord. Whether we live, therefore, or die, we are the Lord's. For to this end Christ both died and rose and revived, that he might be Lord both of the dead and the living.
Yes.
But why doesn't thou judge thy brother? Or why doesn't thou set at naught thy brother? For we shall all stand before the judgment seat of Christ. That was which verse 11 says, for it is written, as I live, saith the Lord, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue shall confess to God. So then every one of us shall give account of himself to God.
Yes.
Let us not therefore judge one another anymore. What? But judge this rather, that no man put a stumbling block or an occasion to fall in his brother's way. I know and am persuaded by the Lord Jesus that there is nothing unclean of itself. But to him that esteem anything to be unclean, to him it is unclean. But if thy brother be grieved with thy meat, now walkest thou not charitably? Destroy not him with thy meat, for whom Christ died. Let me read verse number 16. I got to y'all. Y'all read it. Let not your good deed be what? I almost heard y'all. Let not your good deed be evil spoken of. So, did you mean it to be good? Or did you mean it so you can have something to talk about? So the Apostle Paul says, don't let what you do, that you was trying to do the right thing or the best thing, turn around and harm you.
Right.
Beloved, I want to tell you, here's the thing, because it happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
When we're doing something, somebody else would turn around and say something bad when you meant it for something good, right?
Right.
But the Bible says, if you've done it for the right reason and the right cause, listen to this. Be not weary in well doing, because in due season, I want to tell you, don't give up this morning. In due season you shall reap if you faint not. In other words, don't give up on doing good, because when you do good and somebody says, I need something, and you may not have all they need, but when you give them what you have, and they turn around and say, they had it, they could have gave it to me, but they don't know whether or not you had it or not. But now that you did what you could, and they could be grateful or they could be ungrateful, but no matter what, how many of y'all know God sees what you do?
Yes, He does.
Not only does He see, but He knows. Let's go to Matthew 7. Beloved, I want to tell you the word is right here and it's alive. Romans 14 says you ought to be encouraging the weak.
Well,
Yeah, not discouraging, but you ought to be encouraging. Your charitable deeds that you are doing, and I got to tell you something else before I read Matthew 7. Your charitable deeds, you ought to think about the fact that you could have been on the other end and not him. Let me tell you something. It is better that God gave it to you that you can help somebody else. Because you could be the one in need of help from somebody else. And then you're at the mercy of whether or not they would be as kind to you as God was to them.
well,
And the reason I say that because folk are not thinking about the fact that what they have doesn't really belong to them. Everything belongs to God. Man may have been given oversight, but it belongs to. How many of y'all know when we leave here, I don't care what you got in the bank, you can't write no check and tell the banker to put that in my account where I'm going.
Amen.
I wish somebody would do that because you may not know where you're going. They may not know where you're going. And ain't no checks being cashed in heaven. And ain't no checks being cashed in Hades. In fact, it will burn up before it get cashed. Ain't that something? So you got your pay when you get ready to leave, because the Bible declares that we shall be paid every man according to his work. Let's go and let's see. Somebody say, I know what that says already. Let's see what it says. Matthew 7, 1, 2, and 3. If we have true love and we are not making a lot of noise, because that's what 1 Corinthians 13 says, don't end up making a lot of, what'd you say? In other words, don't nobody understand nothing you said. And you could be babbling.
Yeah.
He says, now, what you are doing, you ought to be straightforward. So, Matthew 7, 1, 2, 3 says, judge not that ye be not judged, for what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but consider it not the beam that is in, and I'm finished, in thy own eye. I'm not finished, but I just wanted to read those 3 verses because some of us wear glasses and some of us wear bifocals. And you ever seen a person that got those thick glasses and they trying to work on a Splendor that you got? But if they don't have their glasses and they, how long will you hurt while they're looking for their glasses, trying to get their splendor. Do you want to take a chance at them getting a splendor and not have their glasses, right? But again, I say, don't let that turn around, because all of us get in that predicament sometime or another. So he says here, don't just end up talking loud, saying nothing, but he says, charity, feel it. In other words, it's going to come through in it. Now, because of your love for mankind, because I want to say our children, because I love our children, some of us just go broke. And my son got me this sweatshirt. And he was praying that the Lord gave me a lot of money, because my children are expensive. So, because of that, we could find ourselves in our own predicament, right? So he says, charity or love don't fail. How many of y'all know sometimes when a person is showing love, they'll go in their sock drawer, right? They'll go in the hole behind the wall and get what they were saving for their. They will go into them places that nobody else is not supposed to know where it is, right? When they see a need, not wait for somebody, I need, would you give me? And somebody is waiting to say, would you be merciful? And you know the person in need, but you tell them, be blessed, be warmed, and go your way. The Apostle Paul says, then all them languages that I was speaking, I ain't saying nothing because I didn't get or didn't give what somebody else. All right. Let's scripture in the book of Acts. And I'm almost finished. Acts chapter 9. He says, if charity does not fail, I would like to show the directions that charity is not a failure. Acts chapter 9, verse 36. Says, now there was in Joppa a certain disciple named Tabitha, which by interpretation is called Dorcas. This woman was full of good works and on deeds, which she did. But in all her giving, in all her love that she had for other people, how many of y'all know we never miss our well?
Yes, Lord.
Till it's gone. And I wish I could talk to some sons, some daughters, some family this morning, because Dorcas did good deeds, and many says about all the good that she did. Am I talking about you in here this morning? Dorcas, in all the coats and sweaters and clothes and sewing, all the giving that she did, guess what happened to Dorcas? Dorcas died. And the thing about Dorcas' death is that she was very well missed. Dorcas died. And somebody, I want you to think about this morning. But I don't see how many children, how much family. But I see a lot of folks that were affected by Dorcas' life. Dorcas died, but then in the place of her dying, Paul and Silas was sent for.
Yes, they were.
She showed her love by her charitable giving.
Yes. Yes.
But somebody says, if doctors stay dead, what is we going to do? Her life exhibit who she was by how she felt about mankind. And I don't believe that she had respect of person where she would give to one and not to another one. But if somebody needed, Dorcas gave it to them. But it says here that after Dorcas died, they sent for Paul and Silas to raise Dorcas from the dead.
Oh, yes.
Because of her good charitable deeds, they didn't want to see a person like this gone. So it says Paul and Silas go over to what Dorcas was, and they kneel down and pray. And I don't know if you all remember what Jesus says when he went to the young Dansville house. He said, Tabitha, Kuma. Anybody know what that means? That means get up. So Peter says, when he went over there in verse number 40, he says, Tabitha, get up. I want to tell you that if you do good, how many of you all know whether you dead or alive, your good is going to follow you?
Yeah.
But wait a minute. How many of y'all know if you do bad?
Yeah.
Whether you are dead or alive,
It's going to follow you.
The life that you live.
it's going to follow you.
Oh, yes.
But here when Peter which was in Joppa, went over to Dorcas, I'm sorry, not Paul, Peter, went over and told her, arise. Verse 40 says, but he put forth them all. What does that mean?
Put them out.
What he did?
Put them out.
What he did?
You put them out.
Now wait a minute. People were spectating because they wanted to see
Yeah.
what was going to happen. I want to show y'all this morning that the apostle was not looking for spectators,
No, you're not looking for that.
but he had expectation,
That's
Yeah.
right.
expecting that God would come into the room and raise the young,
That was their request.
raise the lady,
Yes.
raise her up out of a dead state, right?
Yes.
Right.
But he had to put, now watch this, I'm not asking nobody to leave.
All the spectators.
Everybody staying here this morning. I don't believe we got spectators, but we have expectation, do we? He says, all the spectators leave And then he got on his knees because they wanted to see what was going to happen. And I'm trying to show us this morning what's going to happen if your deeds have been good deeds. If you have done charitable deeds, you should have expectation of what. Let me tell you something. You ought to have a garden this morning.
That's right now.
What are you talking about? In planting a garden, when we've been studying in the book of Mark, in planting a garden, it said the kingdom is of heaven is like a mustard seed. And in planting a garden, you do the best that you could with the seed that you have, but don't keep it in your pocket. Take your seed out and plant it in your garden, and the seed ought to bring forth 30, 60, 100. But I want to tell y'all something. Peter and what he did not have his hand because of he believing that he had power other than that come from God.
All right.
So Peter said, it ain't me, but it is God.
Amen.
And God honored Dorcas' good deed.
Yes, he did.
But more so, this was another situation just like Lazarus when he died. Jesus went over and said, Lazarus, get up. Dorcas died. Peter go over to Dorcas, and I'm trying to show somebody something this morning. Peter go over to Dorcas, he said, Tabitha, arise and get up. She got up, didn't it? But how many of y'all know if we do just like Jesus did, then our seed will grow?
All right.
And what I was saying about the seed is that you have nothing to do with the growth of the seed that's been planted. The Bible says that if a man plants a seed, plant a garden, he can wake up morning, he can wake up night, he can go to the field, he can go and check it, and he has nothing to do with it. It says that if a man plants a seed, it's up to God. Here's what he says. The Apostle Paul says, Apollos may water, Paul may plant, but it is God that gives
increase.
So what am I saying this morning? If your charitable deeds are given, and I know I'm out of time. If your charitable deeds, if what you are doing and what you have done, and you did it from your heart, how many of y'all know where it's going at?
All right.
Yeah.
Somebody told me what's from the heart reaches the heart.
Amen.
If you have done what God told you to do, if you have went where God told you to go, then I want to tell you, the book of Corinthians, you will not get caught up on the tongues, but you will find out what is it that does not fail. You know what he said? The Apostle Paul says, tongues shall cease, prophecy shall fail. He said, but the word of God, love don't fail. So what love is he talking about? The love of Christ do not fail. He's talking about the agape kind of love that you ain't doing something for somebody else so they can do something for you. That you ain't giving something to somebody else so they can give something to you. He's talking about the kind of charity or agape kind of love or the God kind of love where you don't mind sitting on side of somebody. When you don't mind talking to somebody, or you don't mind giving somebody. Let me tell you something. Some folk come and sit on side you so they can bless you.
All right.
Some folks sit on side of you so they can tell you something that God has told them. Some people come to you in silence so they can show you, they can give you something. How many of y'all have come to church and somebody said, well, sister, just hold your hand out because I want to give you something. But they ain't letting everybody, look, she shook my hand, but she didn't know what was in my hand.
All right.
I didn't know what was in her hand. And she didn't let everybody else in church know that she was blessing Pastor Wood.
Come on.
I wish I had somebody. Huh? But he says, if you got that kind of charity, if you got that kind of love, it never. But let me tell you something. The only reason that God done told somebody to give you something because he know what you need.
Yes, Lord.
have tried to give folks something back that they was given to me. How many of you all know? Because I didn't know what God was doing.
That's right. That's right.
Fixing my situation that I didn't know that was broke.
Come on now. Amen.
Y'all ever did that?
Yes, yes,
Huh?
yes.
You ever had that to happen where charity is not wanting everybody to know?
What you doing?
And the reason being, because the person that's doing it for you, they don't want everybody to know what God done did for them.
Amen.
Yes.
If they did, they'd be bringing their income tax and say, look what I got.
All right.
Help me somebody.
All right.
They'll open up and say, look. And look, let me tell you something. God knows just what you need.
Yes, he does.
And I heard what you said, and he's an
Time God.
on-time God. Well, let me tell you the other part. You have not. Because you ask not.
That's right.
And if you'd have asked God for it, he'd have sent it to you. Ain't that something?
I know you will.
Well, somebody knocked on my door. And they stayed there. Y'all ever had the UPS man to stay at your door till they get somebody because they got that letter for you?
Oh, I'm going to go shopping and take off.
Woo!
They did that just the other day.
Let me put a plug in for my FedEx lady then. She knocked on the door. And if I ain't there in a hurry, you know what she do? She knock again. Because she brought me what we need.
All right.
Ain't that something?
Amen.
Ain't that the love of God
Yes.
that is shed abroad in the hearts of mankind? I'm finished, y'all, but I want to tell you something. If God then bless you to bless somebody else, if God then put it on your heart to bless somebody else, bless somebody else.
Bless them. Amen.
You can't get unless you give.
Come on.
Some of our cups are empty with air because we don't let the air out.
Amen.
So this morning, he says, charity
Yes.
never fail. I got to put one more in there because Junior bring candy every Sunday.
Chip candy. That would be.
I don't care how big the bag is, he always bring another bag. Let me show you something. I've had some folks that when he didn't bring the bag, they would ask what a bag is. In other words, what they were saying is, who beat me
The bad man.
to the bag?